Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Um, Today I was just putting together my goblin chariot, and I was listening to a YouTube video, and all of this stuff going on, this controversy with Warhammer. I realise, while I do think it's daft that they're pandering to the small minority of people that actually care about being represented or whatever all that nonsense is. I don't get into all the politics of it, but while Games Workshop are doing this, I realised that I don't actually care because I like fantasy, and if they want to introduce female knights or female orcs or whatever, I don't really care because it doesn't completely ruin the setting to me, and because it's less of a, I find 40k these days is more of a, almost like a cult of people. They just kind of are so diehard, like, oh, ruin my hobby kind of thing. And I realise you don't really get that in like fantasy so much. And obviously the old world is quite new, but like with Age of Sigma and stuff like that, which I mean I personally think is garbage as well. But I mean, no one would object if they suddenly said, well, when they brought in like the female what are they called? The big armored ones. They basically look like Space Marines, whatever they are, because it doesn't matter. But for some reason in 40k it matters a lot, and I think it's because of the passion for the lore and everything. And obviously Age of Sigma is a lot newer, so it doesn't have the history. But I don't know. I find like I don't really care. And while like I do agree with boycotts and stuff like that for companies that do this kind of stuff, I'm not going to boycott them. Even though I do agree that I don't think they should change the law at all, because there's a very small minority that actually want to change anything. But I'm still going to buy the old world stuff because I like the models, and I don't care if they change 40k anymore. I just don't. I think this Henry Cavill series was going to be trash from the start, to be honest. I don't see how they can, especially if it's about Space Marines. Like, if it should have been about the Imperial Guard, or like it should be Eisenhorn, to be honest, because there are Space Marines in it, but they're not the focal point. And I think you could justify having a Space Marine appear and like do something cool, with a bit of CGI, but they have to be CGI because the Fallout series is all right. Don't get me wrong. We have been watching it, me and the missus, but the power armor, like when they're fighting in the power armor, because there's obviously a real suit. Like it looks like someone cosplaying, and it looks so clunky and so daft. And if they went down that route with a Space Marine, like an actual practical suit, it would just look trash. It will look trash. So it'll have to be CGI, and to get good CGI, it would have to be done right, and I just don't see it happening. So I feel like this Amazon thing is just going to be a shit show from the start. But yeah, so yeah, I've just kind of rambled really. I can't even remember what I've said, to be honest. But I don't know. I thought it was interesting coming from a fantasy perspective, like what's going on, because obviously I have been hearing the rumbles and everything. I've had lots of people that don't even aren't into Warhammer or 40k or any of it, and they've all come up to me, like work colleagues and stuff, and they're all saying, "Oh, have you heard about the latest controversy?" And I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't really care." you know it doesn't affect my goblins or my chaos. It doesn't affect me at all. But I do agree that, I mean, look what Disney have done to like Star Wars, and I mean they haven't made a single good Star Wars product. It is trash. Even the ones that people say are all right, like the Mandalorian and that. Man, I got to 3 episodes and I was just like, this is dull. It is just so dull. How many times do they have to keep trying to convince us that the Mandalorians are cool? Like they are. Sorry, I'm not going to swear. They are useless. They get beaten by like the simplest of opponents. Like go back to like the episode 1, 2, and 3. Right now, yeah, they are kind of crap. No one's going to argue that they are high art, but like look at the combat in it. Like it was fast, it was fluid, it was like, you know, really exciting, and like, yeah, there was a lot of CGI, but there was also a lot of surprising amount of practical effects thrown in there. But like the locations looked exciting and big, and like they had these big environments, and you know, even though a lot of it was done on a green screen, but it really did look like there. Ow, that hurt. It really did look like there was a living, breathing world. Was these series, like these crappy little series that Disney keep bringing out, they're so small. Like everything's just in these tiny little things with about 4 people walking around in these tiny little villages and stuff. It just looks absolute crap. You know, and you're telling me that was a good thing, you know, Disney taking over Star Wars. Fuck, it's just terrible. Like, and the same thing's going to happen to 40k. It's already going in that direction. And the whole thing with BlackRock and all that, like, you know, getting involved, like investing in it. Like, there's nothing good comes out of BlackRock. They're a terrible company. Well, I don't even know what they are. They're like an investment firm or something. Who knows? They're very shady. I've heard about them before, like with all them like conspiracy theories and stuff. Well, I mean, it seems like a lot of the conspiracy theories are turning out to be kind of true. But yeah, that's kind of my 2 cents on the matter. So I kind of agree with the backlash, but I don't care enough to like stop buying Games Workshop products. Like, I like some of their products, especially now the old world stuff. I mean, this Goblin Wolf chariot, come on. I'm going to have to green stuff some stuff on there, obviously. But it's so cool. I've never owned any Orc and Goblin stuff back in the day because I was more of a 40k man, you know, back way into that. I did originally start with fantasy, and then it was just like, oh, Space Marines are so cool. So I got into that instead. But now as an adult, I'm like, actually the opposite. I like the fantasy. And now these Orc and Goblin things, like, oh my god. This is iconic, this chariot. And I just loved it. Look at his face. Look at that. He's so happy to be whipping them wolves and waving his sword around. Who needs Space Marines? Yeah, so that's my 2 cents on the matter. Let me know what you think. If you're the 2 or 3 people that have actually watched 2 seconds of this video, let me know what you think.